In January 1879, one of the most powerful empires the world had ever seen sent a modern professional army into southern Africa. They had rifles, they had artillery, they had the weight of the British Empire behind them. What they did not have was respect for the enemy. Within days, over 1,300 British soldiers lay dead in the African sun. It was one of the worst military defeats in British colonial history, and almost nobody talks about it. This is the Anglo-Zulu War. To understand this war, you first need to understand who the Zulu were. By the late 19th century, the Zulu Kingdom was the most powerful independent state in southern Africa, built from nothing by a military genius named Shaka in the early 1800s. The Zulu had transformed from a small clan into a nation of warriors that stretched across what is today northeastern South Africa. Shaka revolutionized Zulu warfare. He replaced the long throwing spear with a short stabbing spear, the Ikalwa, designed for close combat. He trained his soldiers to close distance fast, to surround the enemy, to fight at terrifyingly close range. His tactical formation, known as the Bull Horn, Impondo Zankomo, divided his army into three parts: the chest to hold the enemy in place, and two horns to encircle and crush them from both sides. By 1879, King Cetshwayo commanded an army of roughly 40,000 warriors. They were disciplined, fast, and ferocious. The British were about to learn this the hard way. Britain's interest in southern Africa was not new. For decades, the empire had been expanding its grip over the region, and the independent Zulu Kingdom stood directly in the way of a unified British-controlled South Africa. The man tasked with solving this problem was Sir Henry Bartle Frere, the British High Commissioner for Southern Africa. Frere was convinced that the Zulu posed a threat to British settlers, and he wanted war. In December 1878, Frere issued an ultimatum to King Cetshwayo. The demands were deliberately impossible. Disband the Zulu army, accept a British resident in the kingdom, and submit to British authority. Cetshwayo refused. On January 11, 1879, British forces crossed the Buffalo River into Zulu territory. The invasion had begun. Lord Chelmsford, the British commander, was confident. He had modern rifles, artillery, and the full backing of the empire. He expected a quick campaign. He was wrong. On January 22, 1879, just 11 days after the invasion began, Lord Chelmsford made a catastrophic mistake. He split his forces. Leaving a large portion of his men at a camp at the base of a rocky hill called Isandlwana, Chelmsford rode out with the rest to chase what he believed was the main Zulu force. It wasn't. The real Zulu army, nearly 20,000 warriors, had been hiding in a valley just miles away. When British scouts accidentally stumbled upon them, the Zulu had no choice but to attack immediately before they were fully ready. They attacked anyway. Moving at a full sprint, the Zulu army deployed the bullhorn formation. The chest charged the British camp head-on. The left horn swept around to cut off any retreat. The right horn moved to encircle from the other side. The British soldiers at the camp, roughly 1,300 men, including native auxiliaries, fought desperately, but they were outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and caught completely off guard. By early afternoon, the camp at Isandlwana had been overrun. More than 1,300 men were dead. It was the single worst defeat of the British Army in the entire Victorian era. When Lord Chelmsford returned to the camp that evening, he found nothing but bodies and destruction. But the story of January 22nd does not end at Isandlwana. A few miles away, at a small mission station called Rorke's Drift, approximately 150 British soldiers, many of them sick or wounded, received word that the camp had fallen. They had no time to run. A Zulu force of roughly 4,000 warriors was already on its way. What followed was one of the most extraordinary defensive stands in military history. Through the night of January 22nd and into the morning of January 23rd, the small British garrison defended Rorke's Drift against wave after wave of Zulu attacks. They built barricades from supply crates and mealie bags. They fought from rooftops. They never broke. By dawn, the Zulu withdrew. 11 Victoria Crosses, Britain's highest military honor, were awarded for the defense of Rorke's Drift. It remains the most VCs ever awarded for a single action in British military history. The disaster at Isandlwana shocked Britain and the world. Reinforcements were rushed to South Africa. Lord Chelmsford, desperate to restore his reputation before he could be replaced, pushed deeper into Zulu territory. On July 4th, 1879, 6 months after Isandlwana, the British caught the main Zulu army at the Battle of Ulundi. This time, the British formed a disciplined square formation and used their firepower effectively. The Zulu charge was broken. King Cetshwayo fled and was captured weeks later. The Zulu Kingdom was dismantled. Its land was divided. Its army was dissolved. The war Britain almost lost was over. The Anglo-Zulu War is a story about hubris. About an empire that assumed its technology made it invincible and paid a terrible price for that assumption. But it is also a story about the Zulu people, about a nation that faced the full force of the British Empire, and, for one extraordinary day in January 1879, made the most powerful army in the world run. They were never conquered without a fight. If you want more stories like this, conflicts that changed the world but never made it into the history books, subscribe to the Field Dispatch. Every war has a story. We tell them all.